There's John.
Hi, John.
Hey, John, can you hear us?
Oh,
We can know you through.
hello.
Hey.
How are
Hey,
you? Can you hear me?
How's it going?
we got you in there. So everybody, welcome in Jon Kovalic, artist for Munchkin, among many other things. Dork Tower, Munchkin, Apples to Apples, a lot of stuff all across nerddom. Welcome on in, Jon Kovalic. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm just kind of astounded watching these numbers keep going up.
They're going up fast. We're almost sold through these dice already. But welcome on in. Thank you for being with us and helping us kick off this campaign. We're going to let Daryl answer those questions
Hold on, I
while we
lost the
talk.
sound.
Oh. We'll have Brandon try to check that and see if the sound is coming
Hold on a
back
second.
through again.
Apologies.
No worries.
Everything seems good on my end.
All right. We'll see if when John picks us back up, we can hear us again. All right. He's working on technical issues on his, and we'll get it sorted out here in just a
How
second.
about that, John?
Oh,
Can you hear
there
us
you go.
now?
Yep, that's great. Got
Okay,
it.
cool.
Thanks.
Sweet.
All right. So, like I said, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And
Oh,
yeah,
this
we're
is-
watching
this
these
is-
numbers too, just going crazy.
This is a delight. Let me tell you.
So we got a couple of questions here. We'll get through a few of them,
Sure.
and as we answer a bunch of questions for people going through here. But so the first one, how did you initially become involved with creating art for the Munchkin?
Oh, I had been doing I'd been doing the Murphy's Rules strip panel comic for Steve Jackson Games for Pyramid magazine, starting with Pyramid number 10. And I had kind of forced my way in at the end of the Inwo project, because my wife and I were both collectible card gamers, and I called up Steve and I said, Steve, so I hear you're doing Inwo. Do you have any art that needs done? And lucky for me, at that point in time, Inwo was running behind schedule, and Steve threw 20 cards my way, and they worked out. And a little bit later, Steve asked me if I wanted to illustrate Shea Geek, and that was a thrill. And that worked out really well. Shea Geek is still one of my favorite games.
I had a really
And-
good time with that one. It came out while I was in college in that situation,
Nice,
so
nice.
it was a fun one for me.
Yeah, and about a year after that, I got a email from Steve out of the blue, just saying, "Hey, I'm working on a game called Munchkin, and do you want to illustrate this?" And so this was, I mean, I've been a Steve Jackson fanboy since the late '70s. The metagaming microgames, were some of the first games I played. I would pick them up in this small game store in Bristol, England. Uh, we lived in Somerset, England at the time, and boy, to get the chance to work on a Steve Jackson game, but Steve had designed, every little fanboy neuron in my head just exploded at that moment. It was a huge thrill, and yeah, just fortunately my style fit the humor of the game, and it's there's been no looking back. I stopped counting how many Munchkin cards I've drawn when it hit about 7,500 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we were reading some selections from this book earlier, and
Yes,
Steve had a
yes.
Munchkin by the Numbers segment from 2015. It was like,
Yes.
I think John's drawn for about 5,000 at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was 9 years ago. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's averaged out over the 25 years of Munchkin, roughly. It's averaged out to about a card a day. But really, they come in batches of 168 or so. And so I will draw, 10 to 12 a day when I'm in the groove, and, maybe 40 in a week. I've got, at this point in time, it's just still as fun as it ever was. When I got some of these cards from Steve, some of the new cards, there were 50 brand new cards for this for the big box, and it was like so hilarious just reading through the cards. It's like, oh yeah, this is classic Munchkin. This is going to be really good.
And I know you get to officially count yourself among the artists who have done Batman now, thanks to Munchkin Batman.
Yes,
And-
thank you, DC Comics. I'm officially a Batman artist.
Yes.
I'm not going to say I'm the best Batman artist,
but you're in the list.
I'm on the list, and honestly, that is one of my favorites. That and Munchkin Shakespeare are probably my two favorite sets. Close is going to be 40K, but oh my gosh, I was so happy with how both Shakespeare and Batman turned out. I just couldn't be happier with those.
Shakespeare's a really fun set that I had to take out to my theater troupe that does Shakespeare. I'm like, all right, I need you guys to see this.
Nice. I actually finished drawing Munchkin Shakespeare on the banks of the River Thames in London at the bar at Shakespeare's Globe.
Sweet.
That's
That's
so
a
cool.
perfect capstone to that.
Yeah, yes, it really was. So this last trip to London, I dropped off a copy at the Shakespeare's Globe's gift store. So fingers crossed.
Nice.
We may have a little bit of a footprint there soon enough.
Cool. Let's see. We're gonna go a couple more of these questions, and then we got some coming up in chat as well.
Sure.
So, of all the cards you've created, which has your favorite piece of art?
Oh, that's
And I
so
know,
hard.
yeah. Pick one of your favorite of your
Yeah.
7,000 babies.
Okay, I'm gonna do three because
Three is perfectly acceptable.
the one is the one that stood the test of time, which is Duck of Doom. That's a card that can still, it's similar enough to my style now. My style has obviously evolved of watch, but that one could still fit in any current Munchkin set really really nicely. And I've had people say, "Oh, you ripped the Duck of Doom off of Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus," the kids' book. It's like, no, Duck of Doom was first. Duck of Doom was first. So I've got a very soft spot for the Hobgoblin from one of the first Pathfinder supplement, I think, the Goblin supplement. For
Okay,
Pathfinder.
Truly Obnoxious, or was the one before that one?
I could not tell you. I think it was truly obnoxious.
I want to
But
say
yeah,
it's really obnoxious.
it was drawn in a Calvin and Hobbes style, and I loved it. But in the new set, there is a dungeon card called Catacombs. And I had such a great time with that card because I drew it with a little bit of an homage to a certain scene in Disney's the Disneyland ride, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
So I just slipped a little bit of a Disney fanboy. Nothing actionable, obviously,
Right.
but yeah. And again, it's just like I have as much fun now drawing Munchkin as I ever had. It's just terrific. I'm very very lucky to be able to do this.
Let's see if we can pull a few from the chat here.
I know there was a request of when you're going to go to German Con, I believe was one.
Oh yeah, are you planning any trips to Germany for conventions anytime soon?
Oh, at the moment I'm just starting to get back into the convention swing. I'm going to say there's a non-zero chance I would be at Essen this year or more likely next year, but I really want to get back to Germany. The German fandom is amazing, and in fact, I think it was Hanover Spiel I think that was my first overseas convention back in 2002 or something like that. So yeah, I love Germany, love getting over there as often as I can. I am going to be my first Italian convention is coming up in about a month. The first one since the before times. So it'll be great getting back to Italy. I'll be in Modena. Modena? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm sorry, anybody out there who's Italian. I love the vinegar. I've never known how to pronounce it. But yeah, in mid-May, I'll be in Modena, Italy. And
They said it's the last one.
Okay. um, and yeah, so it's kind of weird because again, after 3, 4 years of the pandemic and the snap, um, getting back in the conventions at last is a lot of fun.
It is. It's you forget how much work it is.
Oh
It's saying it's the
yes,
first time we went back. We're like, oh right, I forgot I have to use voice training on this to make it go all day and everything.
yeah. It's. I
Mm.
just had like a couple of back-to-back conventions. I was out there with Steve at a convention in Atlanta called Nerdy Gras,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
and on the heels of that, I went to GaryCon in Lake Geneva for the first time. And it's been a while since I've done two conventions in a year, let alone back to back.
Let's see. We had would someone say John's art is a huge part of what make Munchkin for me. Every card gets to look at when I check out the art as soon as they open up the box.
Oh, thank you. This was a really interesting project because um, I think there are 3 or 4 sets of other cards which I redrew, which other artists had drawn. Because obviously there's so much Munchkin, there's no way on earth I can draw it all.
Right.
Um, and I'm a big fan of many of the other Munchkin artists. They're just fantastic. They do such a good job. And redrawing some of their work was intimidating because these folks are much better artists than I am.
Because you're like,
It's
"Ooh, I
like,
don't want to mess with that one.
yeah, yes. But I tried not to just ape their cards. I tried to come up with something new, as if the card was brand new to me. I didn't want to just draw Lar or Katie or Lenny's art as they had already done it. I wanted to try and add something a little new to it.
Just take that as if it were the art direction and then
Exactly,
do something with it.
exactly. Yeah, but it's like, oh my goodness, what amazing artists they all are. It
Oh
is
yeah.
really intimidating. It's like, back off, guys, stop being so good.
Here's one. Have any drawings been rejected?
Occasionally, um, at this point in time, for the most part, Steve knows what to expect from me, and I know what Steve's looking for. It's been an awfully long time since I've had a card out and out rejected. Sometimes there'll be tweaks.
Yeah.
Um, I know Games Workshop had rejected, and Games Workshop, by the way, were great to work with. Holy cow! The whole Sigmar 40K was
Yeah,
again just
I
a
heard
lot of
Andrew say he was really surprised how much he was able to get away with.
yes, oh yes. Um, and I had a couple of cards rejected because it was very technical. It's like I had some Space Marine insignia on the wrong side of the
Ah.
armor. Um, but out and out rejection. I cannot remember the last one. I really can't. Now it started like when I first drew my very first Inwo cards for Steve. Obviously, Inwo is a very different art style,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Steve had asked me on when I called him up. It's like, okay, can you draw in Watchmen style? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I can draw in Watchmen style, no problem. And as soon as I got off the phone, I went to look up what Watchmen was. Uh, and it's like, as it turns out, um, I could draw in Watchmen style if I took an awful lot of time, but I had one card there, and it's just a boot. It was just a close up of a boot stepping down. And Steve rejected that card 6 times. And I didn't have enough chains on it. I didn't have enough studs on it.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was a great experience because very early on, it's like, oh, okay, I can redo this. I'll redo this. I'll redo this 6 times. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. I can redo this again.
Yeah,
Um,
if I remember right, Inwo was a lot of Dan Smith art, wasn't it?
yes. Dan Smith and I'm blanking on her name. Oh, terrific artist, amazing artist. And I'm just totally, this is embarrassing. So my apologies. But yeah, so again, there I am, me drawing with two much, much, much better artists. Uh, and it was crazy. But yeah, that kind of got me used to having cards rejected very early on in my career, which is something that's going to happen no matter what. And you can't take it personally. But there are a lot of times Steve or Andrew would send me art specs with just a ridiculous card title, and the entire spec would be, "You know what to do, John." And sad to say, I did.
Well, leaning into that question, uh, I did just see one that was on here. The card names are undeniably funny. How did you design the artwork to lean into the humor of the game?
Um, it's just been a natural progression. I mean, my own personal style is very silly, very cartoony, um, and it's just always kind of fit. So I haven't really changed it. I mean, there's obviously some difference between a Munchkin card and a panel from Dork Tower, or an
Mhm.
illustration for Cash and Guns. Um, I just did a game for a French company called Grail Cup, and again, I try I try to move away from the Munchkin style, which is primarily what I'm known for, and to give everything a little bit of a different twist. So it's really not so much me um, uh, molding my style to fit Munchkin. It's me molding my style to fit anything that's not Munchkin or
Munchkin sort of
shaky.
became your style over the
It's
decades you've been
always
working on
been,
it.
yeah, it's always been the two have gone hand in hand, really.
Yeah. I know in my experience, at least, John, you and Steve have been like so synonymous with Munchkin my entire life. Every time I hear John, I immediately think of your artwork, and it's just been my entire childhood. So I'm
Wow.
very
Yeah.
honored to have met you.
Oh, as again, as somebody who just grew up loving Steve's game designs,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that Steve and I will hang out at conventions, and Steve is a friend at this point in time. Steve is a very, very good friend, and it's like, oh my gosh, how did my luck get to this point? This is just
Yeah.
amazing.
Let's see. We had one here. I just lost it. Where was it?
I did the same thing.
Oh. Is it a challenge to create so many cards for a single game? How do you continue to stay motivated for it?
The motivation is easy because the cards, every set is going to be different. Every set will have its own challenges, its own motivating factor. Um, and it's not that difficult. It's just fun. Munchkin is huge fun, and it always has been. Uh, it's I think uh, because I get a lot of freedom when I draw a card. Steve will know there'll be some cards where I might just go off in a different direction. I always like when I send in my art notes, I always add, "I can change his back if you'd rather," and it's never needed to be done. But that's just out of politeness. But there's for the Catacombs card, nothing said the jail scene from Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It just made sense. Maybe it's the ADHD. I don't know. It's these
But you
just
read it and you
weird.
went, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the best. Those are the best. Each time you get a art spec, it's a little bit of its own mini game. Like, okay, how can I make this fun? How can I make this not just a standard? Let's not have Spike or Flower just standing there doing something. Can I add something a little visually that just brings something more to the table?
Yeah, one of
Um,
the essays we read in the book was talking about the Munchkin cards, both the art and the text, telling their own stories outside of, or begging a story outside of what was there. Like, the duck in the dungeon.
yes,
Okay, but
yes,
or the chicken on your head. What led to that? How did you get there? Or the balloons, like something is clearly happening or just happened with the balloons. What's happened there? So
yes.
they a lot of times appear to be stories in progress, even though it's just the one image.
Or the aftermath of a story.
Or the aftermath
Uh,
of a story, exactly.
the aftermath of a terrible, terrible
The
story for the
what led
protagonist.
to that?
Yeah, exactly.
I
The other
just
nice. Oh, sorry.
um
Please.
I'm just sorry. I just saw that on our chat. It says that our dices have officially sold out for our initial backer waves.
Trying to get past the
Oh my
1,700
God.
It
backers.
did,
We
yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh, that's insane.
just wanted to jump in and say thank you so much, everybody. We really, really appreciate you guys backing this with us.
It's been how long? How long has it been live?
53 minutes.
Yeah,
My
not even an
gosh.
hour.
That's
So the versions
insane.
with where you got one of these for free are
Yes.
gone because we didn't have that many of them left.
I saw that. I was actually tempted to back it just for that.
We could probably put one in seven for you.
Oh,
Maybe.
you
Well,
guys are the
if we
best.
have more than
Well,
750.
yeah.
I'll give it to another backer. It's okay.
Bug
I'm
Steve,
sure
he
I
has
can.
one somewhere.
I'm sure I can find one for you, John.
Oh, and this is why I love working with you guys.
But yeah, let's see. Do we have anything else?
Well, here's the story. This is
Yeah, go
okay.
ahead.
So, for the longest time, I never won a Munchkin game because I would be playing people at Munchkin, and they would assume I drew the cards. Therefore, I must know something about how it's played.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I would get ganged up on. I just never won. I would play dozens of games at conventions, never winning. The first game I played, the first game I won was at a convention, and I actually won playing as an orc. So I got to go up 2 levels by killing, if I'm remembering correctly, a low level thing, and it took everybody else by surprise. And I just stood up from the table. I just did this. I was like, at last! Oh my gosh! But when I was in Poland for the PureCon convention 5 or 6 years ago, again another fantastic convention. And one of the weird things, I'll talk about this later, but one of the weird things is how Munchkin is so popular in, what is it, 19 languages now or more.
Run that, yeah.
But it's like it's all based on these English puns, and so I just don't understand how. I mean, the translators must have been doing a heck of a job getting some of these jokes into Polish or Ukrainian or Hebrew. I think is one of the languages, or Portuguese, or
He's
whatever.
Italian, French.
Yes, yes.
Japanese.
Japanese,
Oh,
German.
Japanese.
Oh, Korean as well.
Korean.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And but so I'm at this Polish convention, and it was a special game set up where it was me, the person who had just that morning won the Polish Munchkin national championship,
Wow.
and 2 other players. And I actually ended up winning that game because everybody else was concentrating on the Polish national champion. And so I think this means I am now the king of Poland. I think it's in the rules somewhere.
It's got to be.
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of very special Munchkin setups, someone said their most precious card is the Star Munchkin Heart of the Anomaly. Anyone
Oh my
else have one?
gosh. Yes.
So I actually know the story behind the card because I was working at the convention that commissioned it.
Oh wow.
Me and the web designer at the time, Fade, were both working for LinuCon in Austin, Texas, which was a combination tech, gaming, anime, nerddom convention. And the guest of honor that year was Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
And so the convention asked Steve if, hey, could we design and print a Munchkin card for this convention as the promo for the convention? And have it be a Star Munchkin focused on the Heart of the Anomaly and have a little Will Wheaton in the background on it with Joey having the Heart of the Anomaly.
Yeah.
And Steve approved it if we did all the printing and everything else and helped us with some of the graphic design and stuff. So like 300 of them were made ever because that's how many people we expected to show up. And the premise of getting this card to Will was there was a Celebrity Munchkin game. It was going to be him, Howard Taylor, Steve, and one of the other guests were going to be playing Munchkin at the table together in the celebrity game. And someone was supposed to get an autograph from Will right beforehand and make sure to walk off with the pen. Everyone else at the table had a pen. And the card was +1 bonus, +3 signed by Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
And he was supposed it was stacked so he would get it in his hand to start the game with. and he wouldn't have a pen to sign it, and everybody else would have one, and they had to make a deal to them. And he didn't notice it at first until he played it and read it. It said +1, +3 signed by Will Wheaton.
And also, that card is the most expensive Munchkin card that's ever been bought. One card was on eBay 10, 15 years ago, something like that, went for $1,000.
They went for a lot because it was a small release. We eventually released it as a shirt here officially,
Yes. Yeah.
so that so people could have the Heart of the
Yes.
Anomaly with a rule
Yes.
associated with it. But
It's
yeah,
been-
the other funny story about that is the reason why it was so rare is the convention organizer that had the extras
Yes.
like lost them in a move, so there were like
Oh,
50 or so extras that just vanished into ether somewhere.
gosh. Andrew sent me 3, and it's like I was so thankful for that. It's like, okay, this is great because I'm not a well organized person, so I do not have a complete set of even the stuff I've done, let alone what everybody has done. I had all of my Munchkin cards at the time in binders so that I could reference them easily enough and unfortunately last year my old studio flooded and I lost a bunch of stuff and I just don't know.
No.
Yeah, it's okay. Nobody got hurt. It's only stuff,
Yeah.
and stuff in the end doesn't matter that much. But I just don't know if I've got it in my heart to just start re-sleeving every Munchkin card for future
Right.
reference. Um, Now another really fun, like the Decemberists, the band, the Decemberists are big gamers,
Mm.
and another really thrilling for me Munchkin experience was drawing a card for them, which they then gave out at their shows about 5 years ago.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Wow.
The cavalry captain card. And when they came to Madison for their show, they invited me. They invited me backstage, my wife and I, before the show to game with them.
Oh,
And
cool.
we didn't actually play Munchkin at the time because, they would all like each other when they go on stage.
Uh,
We ended
Didn't
up
they have a
playing
game
Camel.
called Ilmat?
Yes, Illumat, designed by Keith Baker. This was after that. But they bring their own gaming table with them on the tour bus. And
Oh,
you
cool.
open it out, and it's like got all these autographs on it, and it was so cool.
Oh, that's so
Nice.
cool.
Also, by the way, another Munchkin promo card story. Because of Munchkin, I bought my own art back from a charity because I could not bear not to have it. So what happened was 10 years ago, something like that. Time has no meaning anymore, since the pandemic. But I think it was about a decade ago. The North American Discworld Convention was here in Madison,
Cool.
and Sir Terry Pratchett was going to be a guest of honor. And we got permission to do a Discworld Munchkin card as a giveaway.
Oh,
Cool.
And it was the luggage. And so I drew the luggage and got to meet, and so everybody who was at the convention got one of these cards. And I got to meet Sir Cherry. And I just was, I'm such a huge fan of his writing. I mean, it's so hard not to be. It's like, oh my gosh, every page there are 2 or 3 great lines. It's like there's no filler in a Discworld novel.
Oh yeah.
And I asked Sir Cherry if he would sign the original artwork of the luggage, and it would be for charity. And he agreed to do this, and he signs it, and I'm like still buzzed from having met him. And I get home, and this art was going to go to the UK Discworld convention, and I knew the auctioneer, Brian Nesbitt, who is just a great friend. Is anybody who goes to a convention in the UK or in Ireland must have seen Brian, just an amazing human being. And about a few days before the convention, I'm sitting here with my own dang art in my hands, which has been signed by Terry Pratchett. And I give Brian a call. It's like, Brian, yes, John. So about this artwork. Yes, John. Do you think it? What do you think it would go for at the auction? Like $1,000? And Brian says, yeah, it's probably you probably get about $1,000. Okay, Brian, how about if I just buy it? I'll send the check, I'll transfer the money to the charity auction. And Brian says, that sounds very fair, John. You do that. And so I spent $1,000 buying my own art back just because I could not bear to give up this piece that Terry Pratchett has
It's all
signed.
get signed, but yeah, Sir Terry Pratchett.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, for charity.
It was, and Munchkin has raised so much for charity. When I go to Ireland for the WarpCon convention, or my Bike the Barns, like Munchkin is huge with my the whole Bike the Barns charity bike ride I do here in Madison, which raises money to help the low income and elderly households. It essentially raises a lot of money for help combat food insecurity, and the money goes towards buying CSA community supported agricultural farm boxes from local farms. So low income households get this wonderful fresh farm fresh food. Farmers get money,
Yeah, and you support the local farms. And
yes, yeah.
great.
And early on, I like the first ride. I asked Steve if I could do this postcard. So anybody who backed my ride at $25 would get this postcard that I suggested would let. I thought I might have some around here. That would let them start a game of Munchkin at second level. And Steve said, "Oh, no, no, no. Let's make him start at third level." And so every year, this will be the 12th year of the ride. I've done this special Munchkin postcard that lets you start a game at third level. And as a group, the people who supported my part of this ride, we've raised over $200,000 as
That's
of
great.
last year's ride, and a huge part of that is because of Munchkin. And so, if on the ride, if somebody donates, and I only do this for a couple of slots, but if they donate $2,000, I will draw them, and we, Steve Jackson Games, if you don't mind me including myself here, will print them up, and so they will get officially printed, official cards of themselves as Munchkin characters doing. The cards will have different powers. Steve will design the card, or Andrew would have designed the card. And so Munchkin has raised just a massive amount for charity, and not just this one charity, but
Well, yeah, no, at LibertyCon, Steve does every year. They do a big charity card every year for that convention.
WarpCon. I'll go to Ireland at WarpCon, and we'll auction off again, appear on a Munchkin card. So yeah, for as evil a game as Munchkin is, it does a lot of good.
It really does.
I did see a question here. Let's see if I can. Thought I had it in the scroll. I might have lost it. It's about the dice.
Well, I guess while he's looking for that, I did have a quick one. Do you have a favorite one of somebody bringing you a blank card that you've designed? Do you have a favorite that you've done over the years, that, or like one that stands out to you?
Yeah. No, here's the thing that stands out about the blank cards. For a start, I was at Spiel in Essen about 12, 13 years ago, and God bless them, Pegasus Publishing does a great job with Munchkin in Germany. But that year, they were handing out blank Munchkin cards as the freebies. So you come to the booth, you get a Munchkin card. And I was supposed to do 2 one-hour signings each day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. But also, they didn't have anybody stopping the line, cutting off the line. And so with everybody with their own blank Munchkin card, this turned into and I'm not making this up, day 1 was 6 hours,
Oh
day
God.
2
Ouch.
was
Yeah.
6.5 hours, day 3 was 7 hours.
Wow.
And at the time, like somebody in the middle of day 1 brought me some cookies and some mead. And
Oh no.
it's like that's pretty much all I had for the 6 hour period. It's like I would just, say, guys, I need a break. And so I'd go out and have some meat, some cookies.
Mhm.
And I'm not even a smoker. And I would like have like a drag and a cigarette. And it's like, oh my
Mhm.
God, this. And the funny thing is, like, there are thousands of cartoonists who would kill to have a problem like that. It's like a 6 hour
Oh
signing
yeah.
line.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's honestly for Neil Gaiman, that's breakfast.
Right, right.
But it was so intense. And at the end of the day, I would be like, guys, come back tomorrow. The drawing is going to be much better. And so I'm really happy that most people are satisfied with like a Duck of Doom. If I draw the duck on the card, no matter what country I'm in, I can be in Italy, I can be in Germany, I can be in Brazil, I can be in Australia. And you look up, and as soon as I see the duck, their eyes just widen. And it's like, oh, it's the duck, it's the duck. And you just made somebody's day with this tiny little drawing.
Mhm.
And, I tell people it is such a privilege to be in this business because we're here to make people happy, to let people have fun, to bring some kind of joy into, people's lives. And that is an absolute flippin' privilege. To have something like Munchkin, which makes so many people so happy all over the world, that's incredibly special. It really is.
I can't
Yep.
even imagine having that kind of an influence on a
Oh,
community.
it's nice. And the other great thing is when I get back to Madison, I'm totally anonymous.
You
It's
get the
great.
best of both worlds.
Yes, you really do. There's a bookstore in Madison that won't even pick up my books. It's like, oh, come on, guys. In Germany, they're kill for this.
The Keanu Reeves of the nerd world. Walk into the environment, immediately recognized. Baseball cap, no one knows.
But no, occasionally, I mean, the thing, when I'm like, sometimes people will have very complicated instructions for a blank card. Um, and if I'm at a convention, I always do them for free. That's just one of my rules. It's like, nope, I'm here to make people happy. If somebody wants to send me a card, I'll charge for that just because I've got work I should be
Yeah.
doing when I'm at home.
Right. You haven't already blocked that time out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will try to draw people as Munchkin characters. And sometimes, like the best cards are when I'm not a great caricaturist, but sometimes, it's like, oh my God, it actually looks like them. And not because I got the mustache right, but because I've actually got like the angles of, in the same way that when a celebrity appears on The Simpsons, they are drawn in a Simpsons style, but they're still recognizably that celebrity.
Yeah.
So I think my favorites of the blank cards are those times when a drawing of somebody comes out really nicely.
Cool. Yeah, actually, the question I was looking for was about the blank cards.
Yeah.
So, and I remember we've had to at various booths when Steve and you are there with like, all right, because there was also the blank card of like Steve writes the rule for you,
Yes.
and like
yes.
we had to like limit both of those. Like, okay, it's only this long. We don't have this much time, so
And the
you
other
can have
thing
three
is,
things signed or one of those cards.
yeah, I would be at Gen Con and Steve and Andrew would be there. And I would be the holdup. There'd be a line, and it's like Steve and Andrew would have their little things quickly, and I'm there drawing, like trying to get, trying not to be the road bump in this very efficient signing line. I was at a convention. I forget where it was. I think it might have been Ireland. It could have been one WarpCon. And a guy brings out a blank card for me to sign. And there are about maybe at this point 10, 20 people in line. So there's still a way to go as far as drawings are concerned. And the person behind him said, "Oh, blank card. I wish I'd brought one." And the guy pulls out a stack of blank cards. And he said, "Oh, I brought a lot." And I just
Oh
looked up.
no!
I just looked up and I immediately said, "No, you didn't." No,
Having
you didn't.
flashbacks to Essen.
So So
Oh
was
my
it
gosh.
day 1 or day 2 that you had to start wearing the wrist bracelet?
I never needed to, thank goodness. But it was really like towards the end of the days, the line quality was not the same as the start of
Yeah.
the days.
Oof.
No, absolutely. And the problem again with something like that is if a line doesn't have an actual cutoff,
Mhm.
once the line starts getting short, that's when people start jumping in. Oh, look, the line's short. We can get in now.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it would start getting out of 1 or 2 people, and then there'd be like 10 more people all of a sudden
Yeah.
showed up. So
Yeah.
the next
We have
year,
found out ourselves you have to do line management any time you do
Yeah.
that stuff.
oh my gosh, a Munchkin super fan, Jan Hendricks, was at Essen the year afterwards, and I owe my life to him because he had his grandfather's World War I helmet, no lie, with him, and he
Wow.
was the person cutting off the line and being the hard ass. Because I cannot be a hard ass at all. It's like, I literally was going, guys, please come back tomorrow. Not, no, we're stopping now. You will have to come back tomorrow. It's like, if you wouldn't mind, the drawing will be better if you do it tomorrow. But Yanni was like, oh, line's over.
Yeah,
Back,
I know
back tomorrow.
Jan's great taking care of people. Though. He took care of us when I went over there one year.
Yes,
He's great at
yes.
like making sure everything's handled.
Right before the pandemic, I was coming back from a convention in Zagreb, and I had a layover in Amsterdam, so I took an extra day because Amsterdam, and I met up with Jan, and I actually was able to finally buy him dinner for saving my life a decade
Oh
earlier
wow.
at Essen.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Al, you've met Jan before. Yeah.
So the one of the weird things is in Europe when I'm doing a signing, uh, most people in Europe, be it in London or at Lucca um, or in Essen, they want you to sign the inside of the box. They don't want the box cover signed. Whereas in the U.S., it's all about signing the box cover.
Yeah.
And so I have learned now just like to hold my pen like this as I'm
See,
drawing inside a
reach
box
down
cover.
in.
Yes, it is a it is one of my few unique skill sets is to be able to draw inside a box cover. Now I
That
don't
is a
know
skill.
this box, this coming box. It's like wow, I'm going to need a very long pen to get inside of this one.
So Daryl said it's only 4.5 inches deep, so it's on par, close to the old Munchkin monster
Oh
boxes.
wow, okay, yeah, yep, yep,
So well, a little more than usual, but not too bad.
yeah.
And
And by the
it's
way,
wider, so
We'll
this
get
was the
one of those
second.
like fun size pens.
Yes, 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 exactly. Um, I loved working on the cover. I think it was Steve's idea. I'm not sure, and if it wasn't, whoever's idea it was
Mhm.
to play off of the Dungeons and Dragons red box cover.
yeah, the old red box, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a genius idea. When I first posted that on my Patreon, it was like people just went crazy about it. And it's like it was great. It was fun to draw. And it was actually the second cover. There was the first cover, which was fine. It was a perfectly fine cover. But yeah, as soon as somebody mentioned the red box, it's like, yeah, we got to do that. We
Yeah.
absolutely have to do
It looks so good.
that. I love working with the art department at C. Jackson Games. It's like they make my little scratchings look so dang good. I mean, you got some really talented folks there, and I am just seeing the colors, seeing the whole thing looking really
Yeah.
spiffy and amazing. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
Alex and Ben and Gabby and Sabrina do a fantastic job of bringing stuff to life.
Oh yeah.
it's just amazing. Like I really, really can't praise them enough. It is just ridiculous.
I knew this project was coming, but I hadn't seen the artwork for it yet. So when I
Yeah.
saw it on our sneak peek last week, oh, I was geeking so hard. I was like, oh, my childhood.
Yay! Mine too. My
Oh,
childhood is just extended to now.
I know.
Yeah.
It keeps like coming back in like different iterations, and it was just it was such a heartwarming moment to see it.
Well, seriously, whenever I get like my workday now starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. I
Oh
wake up,
wow.
I'll go. I love it actually. I used to be a night person, but I get much more work done in the morning. And so I make a cup of coffee, go straight to my drawing table, and once I've got the pen, once I'm putting pen to paper, it's like I'm just the luckiest guy in the world. I
Yeah.
adore this job.
It's funny because that same thing happened to me when I started working for the warehouse department here.
Oh,
Because I
yes.
used to work for In and Out before this, and I was adamant I will not get out of bed before 10 a.m. It's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were like, okay, well, we start at 7. And I can't not get excited to wake up in the morning now. And I was a night bird beforehand. So I'm like right there with you.
And the weird thing is, like when I start at 5, theoretically I should be able to quit by 2, but I just want to keep drawing. It's
Right.
it's just like having the old line about having a job you love and you'll never work it in your life. Oh no, I mean it's still work, but it's like it's so fun, and it's like it just like every day it's a little bit different. There's another card, there's another expansion, there's something
Mhm.
with a little bit of a twist. The Golem uh, uh, set, which I did right before launching into, I think I think Golem came first, or maybe it was like some of the big box art that came first.
Mhm.
Um, if you're able to work a little bit ahead, um, Steve will get uh, some notes to me about a set, and even if the set's not due for a month or two, it makes a huge difference getting the stuff in early because I can start sketching and do some character design. And a set like Golem, I think, really benefits from that. Or Paranoia, kind of the same. Now I'm drawing Paranoia, and
Mhm.
it's just,
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah,
oh
we were
yes,
talking about that with Steve last week
Yeah.
about the beginnings of Munchkin Paranoia, and that he was starting had some written, had some art off to you,
yep.
and
And I just sent
reminiscing
a,
about it.
a couple of days. I sent him the first 16, I think, cards, just to get some general directional advice, make sure it's how he sees it. Um, yeah, this is a really fun set.
It's gonna have to be. It's Paranoia is as much a ridiculous game as Munchkin is, so the two together are
Yes,
gonna be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
yes, it'll be the Reese's peanut butter cup of gaming.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, we don't want to keep it too long,
No worries.
uh,
Actually, I've got to
but
get back to drawing. You can see the drawing table back there. This is where the
so
magic happens.
so we are, just to let you know before you head out, we are almost at 2,000 backers, and we're over $250,000 in the campaign already in the
No.
first hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
know.
that's insane! Holy cow!
So
I
thank you
know.
for coming on, John, and helping us
Thanks.
launch this project and talking with us
It's
for a bit.
so great seeing you again. I think it was for NordCon. It was the last time I saw you.
Uh, Probably, yeah, that's probably the last time we saw each other because you haven't
Yeah.
been out
Well,
to
anyway,
a Gen Con in the last couple of years. So
right. Yeah. I may not be this year. I hope to. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
we'll see.
But
If so, I'll see you there. Thanks again, John.
Congratulations, folks. This is a
Thank
lot of
you.
fun, and yeah, it's unbelievable how well it's doing.
All right, thanks so much. We'll see you later.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.